Hello, viewers. Today's vibrant session is about highly celebrated, humongously awarded, nationally and internationally recognized poet and writer. Her work has been translated into 16 languages, Asian and European, across the globe. As a peace icon, she is loved and cherished, and she rules both the worlds of prose and poetry, and her each written word is like a piece of art, pulsating and soul stirring. An absolute delight to devour. My personal favorite, she's like a walking verse herself, and her persona is like a warm embrace. So, viewers, the weather is in this part of the country is getting cold and harsh today, and there can't be a better way to keep ourselves cozy and warm than having a heartening conversation with our own Lily Swarn today. So, welcome Lily ji to the Vibrant Forum. This is a Magic Box series we've started, and you are our first guest here. Thank you so much for being in the session and with me and sharing the screen with me today.
Wow. Thank you, Mandeep Kaur. This has been such a warm and such a welcoming introduction. And for me personally, it means a lot to be interviewed by you because I would want to be the woman you are. I aspired always to be a confident woman of the world. I write about women like you. You know, I like you are you're an achiever. You're the Vodafone lady. So I'm honored that you say all these good things about me. And thank you, Vibrant Forum, to have me as a guest. It's a pleasure. It's actually a very cold, dismal morning in Michigan, Mandeep, and
Oh,
there's a powdering of snow. So I think we should both
okay.
warm it up. Let us.
Yeah, let's warm it up. So when I read, and I've read your poems and I've read your books, and when I see you, because I personally also really admire you, get this feeling, that when you were born and you were learning to speak as an infant, you must have started with reciting a poem only. So tell us, when was the poetess in Lily born?
I would say it could have started with my mother's Loria. है ना? She had learned some from her mother. So there were Punjabi ones like To with Totadiya, Tota Samundar da, Pani Pive Mandar da. Or there would be something like Channa ve teri Chandni, Tarya ve teri law, Chann pakave rotiyan te tara kare raso. So, that, or it could be, the sound of the hymns that came from like a stereophonic
Okay.
sound. There was an ancient Shiv Mandir behind my house where I grew up, and there was also a historic Gurdwara Sahib right next door. So I grew up, hearing hymns. So वो जो मीठी आवाज थी शब्दों की और मंदिर में जो होता था भजन, तो मुझे लगता है वो भी इफेक्ट किया मुझे. And of course, my father would listen to, All India Radio, to all the Punjabi folk songs. के अड़ी वे अड़ी नाकर पापी तू अड़ी लगी सौण दी चढ़ी दुध पी ले बाबला मैं कदी दी दुध पी ले सोनिया मैं कदों दी खड़ी. So maybe that. And of course, I learned, I was taught Urdu by my dad, like one would teach anybody Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So he would teach me आदमी के जिस्म में क्या है जिस पे शैदा है जहाँ मिट्टी की है ये इमारत और मिट्टी का मकान खून इसमें भरा है और अंत इसमें हड्डियां, stuff like that. So maybe
Imagine the kind of imagine the kind of rhymes you were listening to while others were doing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
yes.
So
The
it all
poetess, I
came to
guess, was
flow.
born, and I would write in a shady diary hiding under the staircase or on the rooftop. I started doing that.
Oh, sweet. Lovely.
Thank you.
So let me now address the viewers. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. Lily G has authored 4 books in span of 3 years. That was quite a marathon of writing.
Yeah.
And her first was Trellis of Ecstasy, which is a compilation of her poetry, was launched in Delhi in 2017 and was highly appreciated by Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amrinder Singh. In fact, the Journal of Commonwealth Literature, London, has lauded this book and called it a veritable delight.
Yes.
Lilies of Valley, her second, is a collection of essays, and it was launched in International Center in New Delhi in 2018.
Yeah.
The The Gypsy Trail, her third novel about the life of an army wife, was launched by His Excellency Governor of Punjab, Mr. V.P. Badnor, in Punjab Bhavan in October 2018. Oh my God. And while the readers were still rejoicing and beaming at wonderful prose and poetry, here she comes and gifts us with her fourth in 2019 itself, The History on My Plate. So this was released in Delhi Press Club, right?
Ji.
So this is a unique and exciting glimpse into the journey of food till it reaches your plate.
Yeah.
Amazing. It is totally amazing. I'm sure it is already breaking into the Guinness book.
Oh,
At the speed you're writing the books. So,
thank
so that brings me to my next question. I always had this myth that you can't do quantity and quality together. If you write so much, so frequently, then somewhere you lose the richness and the depth of the content. But you keep both the things intact. You excel in both quantity and quality. Tell us, how do you do it? I really want to know.
you. That's so gracious of you and so kind of you to even say it. Not many people would, voice it. But if you feel like that, I'm so blessed. You know, मुझे क्या लगता है, Mandeep? I feel that the words have a way of worming themselves out of me. I'm blessed that way. They bully me, कि मुझे लिखो. They sometimes plead. They're stubborn, and they can strike me anywhere and any time. And I just have to, maybe I'm holding a baby in one arm. I'm, kind of cooking in the kitchen. I just have to quickly pick up my little cell phone and start, tapping on it. And actually, four of my books are written on a cell phone, and which is quite crazy because my
Really?
daughter says, "Aap andhi ho jayenge,
Telephone.
andhi ho jayenge." So I think it must be, if you feel that there is quality in them, and if you are, being kind enough to say so. I would say it's like the wolfing down of books, like a crazed person. I used to just eat up किताबें रजाई के अंदर छुप के, beg, borrow, steal, neighbors, friends, the whole library in Carmel Convent. So waiting up for the library period, exchanging with each other, यार मैंने पढ़ ली है तू अपनी दे दे. So I think the written word kind of just walked into me, and then it wanted to come one fine day. And of course, it came in poetry when I lost my young son to cancer. It was he was a young chap, 23-year-old.
Sorry.
After that, the lava wouldn't stop. They just poured out of me.
Oh
Yes.
my God. It feels like, I'm really sorry for that, first of all.
Gee.
And yeah, I felt that, all this while you were like that dormant volcano. And then a lot of lava in form of emotions and words were building up. And then I think around 2016, 17, it just gave way.
Yes. So
Ever
I
since, there
think,
is no
yeah,
stopping
yeah,
of
and nature,
emotion.
nature also is a very powerful influence in my poetry. My nature poetry and love poetry. I'm told by critics that there's that they're intertwined. Like you said, they are layered. But I always find my source of potent writing power from nature. The resilience, the
Yeah.
optimism, that this bare branch is going to be green soon. So it gives me, this tiny woman that I am, a very powerful feeling. So that could be what pours out in verse and in
You
prose.
have a tiny woman, you have this huge, wonderful persona,
Thank you.
and I think that's much more adds much more grandeur to
Thank
the
you
to
for
your
all the
full
things
being.
you're saying today, Mandy.
Yeah. So, Lily ji, you are a multilingual writer, and you've been dabbling in this battery of genre. And listening and reading your work is really celestial bliss. And speaking of which reminds me of this beautiful ghazal which you wrote, and it was sung by famous Salim Ahmed.
Ji, ji,
If
ji.
I
It's a
may
very
permit,
recently sung. Ji, ji,
yeah,
ji.
if I may recite a few lines of that, because it
Please
really fills
do.
my heart
Please
so
do. I'm
much.
honored. Sunaiye, Irshad. Love to hear it.
I hope I'll be able to do justice the
अरे
way you
अरे
speak
कमाल
and
कर
you
दिया.
recite. औस की बूंद रोती रही रात भर, औस की बूंद रोती रही रात भर, मौजे गुल भी बहकती गई रात भर। महजबीनी को तेरी नजर ना लगे, महजबीनी को तेरी नजर ना लगे, चांदनी रश्क करके खिली रात भर।
I can't even say वाह वाह to my own words. मुझे शर्म सी आ रही है.
No, it's beautiful. It's really
शुक्रिया,
amazing. So
शुक्रिया.
that brings me to my next question that I have. Where did you learn such proficient Urdu?
So, as I told you, my dad grew up in Pakistan erstwhile, and then India that time, and he was in metric when he came. So, तब तो, and he was a lawyer. तो सारा काम legal भी official भी उर्दू में होता था, और वो बड़े तो उर्दू पढ़ के बड़े. So he would always teach me Urdu like one would बच्चे को जैसे ABC सिखाते हैं. उठते बैठते he would be tying his turban or his beard and he would be saying उठो मेरी दुनिया के गरीबों को जगा दो, काखे उमरा के ये दरो दीवार हिला दो. So I learned Iqbal, Mir, Ghalib, just as if they were normal people. And I was so lucky to have actually met Faiz Ahmad Faiz Saab personally.
Oh, you have?
Yes, that's like
Oh
a big
my
high in
God.
my life, I feel.
I
And
used to
on
love.
hindsight, yes. So that was when my vice principal in Government College for Girls, Chandigarh Sector 11, Mrs. Champa Mangat Rai. So Faiz Saab was actually a dear friend of hers. So he came and stayed in his house, and I was the editor of the college magazine. तो उन्होंने हमें बुलाया कि इनका इंटरव्यू ले लें कॉलेज मैगजीन के लिए. सो इमेजिन आई हैड दिस टाइनी, I think quite a घिसा पिटा सा tape recorder होता था तब. So I took that cassette player and I kind of very pompously, put it in front of him. And he was this genial gentleman, and sitting on his couch. And उन्होंने मुझे बातें सुनाई. He said के आओ हाथ उठाएं हम जिन्हें रस्में दुआ याद नहीं, हम जिन्हें सोज़े मोहब्बत के सिवा कोई बुत कोई खुदा याद नहीं. And then he also talked of other things like हम जनीम तारीक राहों में मारे गए. He spoke so much, of his own words to a pipsqueak like me that time that it registered. And I thought I have to, and I'd already been compiling Urdu and reciting in youth festivals in Punjab and in the
Okay.
college, and already getting, it was a major high that you're trying to dabble in
I
Urdu.
can imagine. I can.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
जी जी,
It's,
तो मुझे लगता है कि उर्दू का तो वही हिसाब किताब है. वो
uh,
आ जाती है. It's so beautiful.
I'm sure this must be the most inspiring moment, as a pupil poet at that moment.
जी जी, and then of course I have Sufi tendencies
Yourself.
because Sikhism and Sufism is so alike that
Yeah.
Sufi
Intertwined, yeah.
friends and gurus like Sayyid Alvi Saab, they kind of honed my गजल. That's a tough one to write. नज्म तो मैं लिखने की जुर्रत करती हूँ, गजल लिखना तो
Um,
बाबा बाबा बाबा. So that way चल रहा है. अभी तो सिलसिला शुरू ही हुआ है.
No, no, no. I think viewers also know that your ghazals are being sung by a lot of singers and they are on the YouTube. They can really go and check out. And I personally really love listening to them.
जी,
So they are
thank
really
you.
wonderful.
जी,
Yeah.
मुसाफिर साहब sings it and my
Yeah.
own
अच्छा,
favorite
ये
friend.
सिलसिला यूं ही चलता रहे.
शुक्रिया, बहुत
आगे भी.
मेहरबानी है मनदीप.
Yeah.
जी
Okay, so now I would want to address viewers again because there is so much more I have about Lily Ji for you guys that she's won innumerable national and international awards and accolades for her work. To name a few, just a very few from the long list of awards. The most coveted, the Ruel International Prize for Poetry in 2016. And then she has been recognized by the World Union of Poets as Global Poet Encomium of Peace and Universal Love.
yes.
World Institute of Peace conferred the title of Global Icon of Peace on her in Nigeria. And I think you also traveled to Ghana and Peru as a peace ambassador,
Yes.
as I was reading. Yeah. And Lily has been awarded the Virtuoso Award of Philosophy Poetica. And there are so many of them. There is one I can read is the Elizabeth Barrett Browning International Award at the Indian World Poetry Festival in recognition for the contribution of your work in the world of literature and in the world of peace. So
Thank
this is really wonderful. And there is one you were, when we were talking, you were mentioning, I think it's pretty iconic also, on the 51st year of establishment of Chandigarh,
जी जी.
in the same breath as that of Milkha Singh and many renowned
Yes,
personalities.
that was so precious, Mandeep. I mean, you're called in your own city and you're being called an icon. And I felt so humble because नाम बुलाए जा रहे मिल्खा सिंह साहब के और MS रंधावा साहब के. That is a special award. Yes. जी जी.
And Sahitya Akademi Awards, not to
Yes,
miss
the
those.
Gujarat
You
Sahitya
want to talk
Academy.
about
Oh my
this?
God. That's the ultimate for a writer. I
Yeah,
felt, oh my God, is it really happening? तो बहुत वो बहुत मेरे को बहुत अजीज और प्यारा है. जी जी जी.
this is really wonderful.
जी, जी.
So I'm just catching my breath.
Oh,
You know,
come
there's
on.
so many awards.
Yeah.
So with this, so much love and so much of recognition and so many acknowledgements and awards. So does it change a writer somewhere? How does it add to your writing, or how does it change your journey and you see yourself as one?
You know what? First of all, it makes me a better person. I feel so humbled that I've stopped being judgmental of the world. I can't believe, that मेरे पे इतना प्यार निछावर हो रहा है, इतना इज्जत और मान मिल रहा है. मकबूलियत तो अलग बात है, but awards make me want to strive enough to live up to the faith of those who love me, who read my writings with with a lot of respect. And I think that एक्चुअली अवार्ड से आपकी लिखाई पे उस तरह का कोई असर नहीं पड़ता एज अ राइटर बिकॉज दैट इज ऑलरेडी व्हाट यू आर ऑल अबाउट. योर राइटिंग पर से डजंट चेंज. आप कैसी अंग्रेजी लिख रहे हैं, आप किस टॉपिक पे बात कर रहे हैं, वो अवार्ड्स के साथ उसका ताल्लुक नहीं होता. बट हाँ, एक मयार है. यू हैव टू काइंड ऑफ see that you don't fall from what people have thought you are capable of, and you, out of respect for them,
Yeah,
उनका
yeah.
मान रखते हुए मुझे मतलब ये ध्यान रखना पड़ता है कि मैं फिजूल सी तो नहीं कोई बात कह रही हूँ, है ना? So like
You
right
feel
now
more
I'm
responsible.
जी.
Yeah, you feel more responsible, and then you know
Exactly.
that your every
Right.
word matters. So what
Yes.
you speak, what
Yes.
you write,
Huh.
is
And,
seen and read
and
by a lot of
and
people. I
poets
mean,
are impulsive. Writers are impulsive, emotional beings. I'm very emotional, very high strung, and I get carried away by the sight of the farmers on the road in in Delhi. तो मुझे लगता है ठंड में है, बुजुर्ग हैं. So I want to write on whatever is happening. The people are my canvas, and for everybody, the world is your milieu. And I mean, there's so much you can write about. And if it moves people, then pen is definitely mightier than the sword. I agree with that. Yeah.
it is. It is indeed.
जी
History has proven that.
जी जी
Yeah,
जी.
yeah. Okay, now, talking onwards of awards, you are also decorated with the title of Woman of Substance, right? And I see your poetry turning all the more potent when the woman in you and the poet in you come together,
Yes.
And that reminds me of a poem that I read on
Oh, really?
Medias
Oh,
Appeal.
wow. That's great, Mandy.
It was
Great.
very beautiful. It was. I think maybe on a Woman's Day or sometime you
Yes, I
had
think it was
written.
International Women's Day, maybe. Yes.
Maybe, maybe, yeah. So I would like to recite a few lines of that. Uh,
I'll be thrilled to hear that. Come on.
she had crouched lower than she ever had, for she believed Sheridan when he said that she stoops to conquer. It didn't need much effort to be clingy and needy. Women slip into this mode with ease. The only tough part was the getting up. I think the last line really does it all for me. And yet, proud of being a woman, herself she writes this: the hues of love, the shades of godliness, up with the lark, busy as a bee. Woman, thou art magnificent. Thank God I'm a woman.
Thank God I'm a woman. Definitely.
But I
Thank.
think it's not fair for me to go on reciting your
Oh,
poems
why
and your
not? I'm
lines.
feeling so happy
The
that you think it
CEO
worth.
herself sitting here and who really recites so wonderfully. So why don't you recite a few lines of the poem again about this woman, the red lipstick? I really love.
Yes, it's my personal favorite too. Red lipstick. मुझे साहित्य अकादमी चंडीगढ़ में I remember reciting it in the. It made me feel good that people are not men also were not looking down at the poetry. So men were understanding कि क्या कहना चाह रही है. So I'm glad you chose that one. So
Yeah.
here it goes for you,
Recite.
specially vibrant forum. My red lipstick. There are days when I feverishly hunt for my blood red lipstick, flaming its ire on a spineless world, coruscating its crimson on a demented vision, the full bodied red strengthens me. It draws my attention to my mouth. No more is it voicing inanities, mouthing banalities, the bow shape emphasizing the arrows, lurching in my quiver, yearning to castrate demonic mindsets, a drawing of attention to the prowess that lies beneath the redness, a silent reminder of feminine Shakti, the Durga astride a tiger, empowering with a quiet confidence, the potent aura of red glistening, love, longing, sensitivity, courage, vigor, willpower, as Scarlett O'Hara or as Scarlett Johansson, rage, wrath, and stress wrapped up on my lips, all in a luscious vibrance. I think today is one of those days when I hunt out that tomato red lipstick that matched my gold threaded Banarsi sari. Thank you.
Wow. And your today's lipstick is also matching your
Yes,
overall gear.
red
So
always.
this
Thank you.
goes very well with you. So coming to this is really wonderful. Now, there's another thing what I feel about you is that you're a true fountainhead who
Oh,
has, who can spring out thousands renditions in one go, a story, a ghazal, a poem, an article. From where do you get these endless thoughts and energies which are so equally potent? इस झरने का source क्या है और कहाँ है?
I would say it's my spiritual leanings, though it's a very private thing. But I always feel that the Almighty is always reminding you of things and always helping you put them into perspective to make you a better person all the time. And as I grow in years, I find myself more contented, more mellow, and happier person. And I keep on wanting to, source myself from within. So I'm not looking outwards much now for my writings. It's all that thing that has been compressed like aroma, essential aroma oils. Henna, the first squeeze of the desi sharab maybe. So it comes up from within, and I'm happy that it is given love by my readers, whether it is prose or poetry or Urdu or Punjabi. And I love writing in my mother tongue because it's that mitti Punjabi which I heard growing up. So thank you if you feel so. I'm so glad you said
No,
that.
it
Thank you.
requires a lot of courage to bare your soul and laying your heart out and sharing
Yes,
your very
it
deep
does.
emotions.
But it's
So
very
it takes
cathartic. It
a
is
lot of
unfair
courage.
on the readers because a lot of catharsis is happening to you. And to each reader, each piece of verse or poetry is going to be reacted in a different manner. आप पढ़ती हैं तो आप कुछ और सोच रही हैं,
Yeah, we connect in
जे
our
कोई
own way.
होर बंदा पढ़ रहे उन्हें लगता हाय हाय ए कह रही होनी है. We all internalize the writings in our own way, in our mind and heart. So I guess that's the thing.
Yeah,
जी.
no, that's true. In fact, I'll talk about that, what you just said in maybe in another minute or so when we talk about another of your poems. So I'll mention that.
जी जी.
Before that, because the title of the session is History on My Plate.
Oh,
So
yes.
let's talk about that more. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is your most recent book, and I've been part of one of the release events of
Oh,
this
yes. You
book.
were part of the press club of
I was
Chandigarh
there.
release where Mr. Parida had come with his wife. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was there. So I want to know because we just said that your inspiration comes from within, and it is your own experiences, your own life that you've been writing all this while. But this book is slightly different. It is not about just the one which comes from within. It is about a lot of research. It is about
Yes.
finding out a lot of those hidden secrets behind the beautifully plated dishes and the foods from the world. So I'm sure it required you to travel, to know people, to meet, to understand where these kind of cuisines come from. How do they across the continents? They are different and yet they are the same. While reading your book only, I felt. So tell us about it. How did you go about writing this book?
Yes, it was a different journey for me altogether. It was not an internalizing, but it started from being a Punjabi, I think, which we are. We are foodies, and the day starts with Aj ki chadna, and the day ends with Unki pe hona hai swer vaste. So I think we being a foodie and hearing about food all the time, and every city in India has this thing about वहाँ के छोले भटूरे, वहाँ के ये तो वहाँ का वो, वहाँ का. So um, and I would remember sitting near the charcoal fire or angithi hondi sigi in my granny's house in
We all had.
Delhi. So Biji ne gana to das sach das khave jogi, and she would sing in her nasal tone, and she would keep on bhunoing. So the sauteing I saw was a lot of love she poured into the sauteing. Ono jada punnan vich o pyar pande san Biji. That made me realize that food is not just the recipe. There has to be a long journey it has traveled to reach us. So I wanted, when I would see something on my plate, like a nice naan, with some sesame seeds on it, a glaze of
Yeah.
butter, and I would say, I want to know कि ये किसने सोचा होगा कि नान बनाना और ऐसे बनाना है. So thus started my journey of going to find out how from a grass, wheat is a grass. It's just a cultivated blade of grass. तो वहां से वो जर्नी अनलीवन्ड ब्रेड की, फिर बेक्ड ब्रेड की, till it reaches your plate. So I wanted to do it. So I started researching, reading a lot of old Indian historical books, reading a lot of Western books, traveling. And my life as an army wife was great in this. It came back to me when I started writing कि मैं हैदराबाद में गई थी तो बिरयानी का जायका ऐसा क्यों था, हलीम ऐसा क्यों था, इलाहाबाद में जो केक, क्रिसमस केक बेक होता है, व्हाई इज इट मेड इन अ सर्टेन मैनर, and it poured down to things like how alike Patrani Machi is to that, the banana leaf, you know, Machi, the
Steamed,
Parsis make,
steamed
right?
fish.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. They make
Patrani
it in that.
Machi and the banana. So I wanted to know what is it that is so similar and why is it so similar? And I started finding how it traveled with armies, a lot of things. How because of necessity so much came, like the butter chicken, कि उसका तंदूरी चिकन सूख गया था. तो उन्होंने गुजराल साहब ने क्या कहा कि somebody came and he was hungry. He said कि मैंने कुछ खानू दो. He said, how can I give him this sukha tandoori chicken? So he made a quick curry of the tomatoes in the shop with some butter and maybe some kasuri methi, and he just dipped those sukhe hoye tandoori chicken, the dried tandoori chicken pieces in that, and voila, we have a new dish which the world loves. So these interesting stories came up to me, and how when some goat herd saw कि उदियां जड़ियां बकरियां हैं, they are eating some berries and they're suddenly getting very frisky. So that is how coffee beans were found out. So these stories cheered me, and I went on. My daughter would take me to New York to see the pizzeria, the first one when the Italians came to the New York shore. And I would like to go into the first shops like the Rasgulla. We were in the East. I would see how the Rasgulla started getting made, and how now there was a battle between Odisha and Bengal, and Odisha won.
Yes,
The
yes.
other one.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it has been a wonderful. I have been bribing Khansamas to lure out some
Okay.
kind of secret ingredient which everybody keeps up their sleeve when they tell another person a recipe. तो मजेदार रहा जायके का सफर, और मुझे बड़ा लुत्फ
Like
हुआ.
a suffer.
And a big
This must
learning
be.
experience, Mandy. I learned so much on the way. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure this book has been getting written in your mind for a very long time,
Yes,
from
it
the
has. It
time when you
has. Yes.
Inquisitive Lily was always questioning, why
And you know
and how
what?
of
I'm
everything.
so glad that actually very honored that it has been serialized in various newspapers and websites, दैनिक
Yes.
भास्कर चंडीगढ़, and एक chapter के बारे में serialize किया जाता है और लिखा जाता है. So people are liking the fact that besides the fact that I've given recipes, there is the origin and the history mentioned, and a lot of it is fun. And since you've read it, you also told me कि हाँ chatty है, तो मुझे मजा आया पढ़ के. तो chatty तो मैं हूँ, आप देख ही रहे हैं.
You know, so, this is giving me some thoughts. I think the way, in your very animated style, that theatrical style that you speak so beautifully. So one day you must, on your channel, talk about these recipes and, give those little tips to people along with the book and also, your live show. I'm sure you'll do a magic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's, you must do that. And this brings me to something that I think people don't know. It is a secret, viewers. So Lily, behind her Sanjeeda and poignant poetry and literary works, is a very naughty, youthful, full of energy and a vibrant person. And I'm privy to that because we were together in audience in one of the lit fests year back. So I saw that side of you, and that's also true because you won colors in drama and histrionics in university. So I want you to show bear that side of yours to the viewers today. Maybe you pick up some phrase or from passage from your book and speak it in your very theatrical style with them.
So, I was always very fascinated by theater. Well, as you said, the drama has an appeal which is very instant. And being on the stage, when I would perform on for the, for the thing, I would perform to a live audience, and it used to be instant nirvana, the claps and the curtain calls, and I still want to go back to it, but I guess I'm getting old for that. But it still moves my blood, and it worries me. So one of the characters which got me a lot of fame was which got me the colors for histrionics and also my best actress was a buddhi mai called Pabbo. So I can do a one line for you from Pabbo.
Yes,
So my
yes, let's
Pabbo
do
was
that.
a little hard of hearing, Mandeep, and she had a sulky daughter-in-law. So let's do a little bit of Pabbo.
I love that, the way you are speaking, so sportive.
Wagadu, wagadu, wagadu. ਅੱਖੀਂ ਦਿਸ਼ੇ ਨਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਕੰਨੀ ਸੁਣੇ ਨਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੁੱਤ ਗੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੇ ਖਾਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਹੌਲੇ ਹੌਲੇ ਟੁਰਦਿਆਂ ਕਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਂਗੇ ਨਾ ਵਾਗਰੂ ਵਾਗਰੂ.
This is amazing. You're too
Yeah.
good.
And of course, my teachers in Kamal Convent were great people for elocution. So I remember my favorite used to be an extract from Macbeth, a soliloquy. So I remember a line. I could maybe recite that to you. Just a line, maybe. So when
Yeah.
Macbeth is hallucinating after being all the evil person that he was in Shakespeare's Macbeth, तो वो बोलता है, is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision? Something like that.
Oh, wow. You're too good. I think we
Thank
need
you.
another episode
You
of
took
this.
me back to my
We,
youth, dear girl. Thank you very much.
this half an hour is not going to do justice to Lily's Swarn, I must tell you, viewers. I think we'll keep making more. Like she said, every recipe comes in every, new article. So we also need to do a few more sessions in order to do justice
God willing.
to
God willing.
our own Lily. So let me just come quickly to something which I've been wanting to talk to you for a bit. I think both of us are Amrita Preetham's fans.
Gee.
I absolutely adore that woman for the bold choices she made
You
in
have
life.
great choice.
She lived life on her own terms.
Yes.
And for a woman of those times, so it is really inspiring and amazing.
Gee.
Uh, and I love her poetry. And in fact, all her poems are legendary. But
Gee.
there is one that I love the most because I think it is most sung and recited by like the Gulzars and everybody. मैं तेनू फेर मिलांगी किथे किस तरह पता नहीं शायद तेरे तखलील दी चिंगारी बन के तेरे कैनवस ते उतरांगी ਜਾਂ ਖੋਰੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੈਨਵਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਰਹੱਸਮਈ ਲਕੀਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਖਾਮੋਸ਼ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੱਕਦੀ ਰਵਾਂਗੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੈਨਵਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਲਾਂਗੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਪਰ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੀ
Gee. Gee.
and I know that you are also Amrita Preetham's fan, and
Gee.
on our 100th birth anniversary, you had dedicated a poem of yours,
Yes.
especially on this poem. Would
Yes.
you like to recite that
I'm a
for
huge
us?
fan because I could never be the woman she could be. I always look up to women who live life on their own terms. Most of the time, we are making, व्हाट दे कॉल के थोड़ा सा समझौता करना पड़ेगा, तो हम समझौतों में डूब जाते हैं. सो वुमेन हु डोंट थिंक समझौता इज द आंसर, draw my eyes. So I wrote, out of respect for her, मैं तेनू फेर मिलांगी, I wrote something in the modern context which you are mentioning. It was called तू मैनू मिलन आवेंगा. So it is something like this, if you allow me.
Yeah, yeah. A
ਤੂੰ
few
ਮੈਨੂੰ
lines.
ਮਿਲਣ ਆਵੇਂਗਾ, ਰੱਬ ਜਾਣੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਖੂਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਟੋਬਾ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਖੇਤ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਟਿੱਲਾ, ਨਾ ਰਾਵੀ ਨਾ ਬਿਆਸ, ਇੱਕ ਝੀਲ ਹੀ ਕੱਲਮ ਕੱਲੀ, ਰੋਜ਼ ਆਸ਼ਕੀ ਦੇ ਮੰਜ਼ਰ ਵੇਖਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ, ਹਾਏ ਹੈਲੋ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਗੁਲਦਸਤੇ ਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੋਹਣਿਓ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੇ ਮਲਾਈ ਦੇ ਡੋਨਿਓ, ਕਹਿਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਚੇ ਪੇੜ ਤੋਂ ਛਲਾਂਗਾ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਫੁੱਲ ਤੋੜ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਵਾਲਾ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਪੀਂਗ ਦਾ ਹੁਲਾਰਾ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਰਗੀ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਦੌੜਾਂ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਉਹ ਗੁਲਾਬ ਵੀ ਤੇਰਾ ਰਾਹ ਤੱਕਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੋਰੇ ਤੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਾ ਇਜ਼ਹਾਰ ਕੀਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਜੀ ਓਪਰੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਸ਼ਾਪਿੰਗ ਮਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਰੋਟੀ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਵਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੇ ਲੱਗਦੀ, ਉਹ ਢਾਬੇ ਦੀ ਦਾਲ ਯਾਦ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਨਹਿਰ ਕਿਨਾਰੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੁੰਨੀ ਉੜ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਹੱਸ ਹੱਸ ਕੇ ਫੜ ਲਈ ਸੀ, ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆਵੇਂਗਾ ਨਾ, ਲੌਡੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਚੋਂ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਵੇਗੀ ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਕਹਿ ਜਾਵੇਂਗਾ, ਉੱਥੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਕਨਵੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਵੀ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਵੇਗੀ, ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆਵੇਂਗਾ ਨਾ.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Thank
Yeah, yeah, it's actually you have brought this whole beautiful poetry of Amrita Pritam's time to the new context.
you. Thank you.
And I'm sure it resonates more
अब
with
मैंने
the
बड़ी
new
जरूरत थी इसको लिखने में, but
generation.
I just around. Thank you for liking it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Right. I really feel that we have more time and we continue on and on. और आपसे सुंदर सी कविताएं सुनते रहें, सुनाते रहें in your मिठी जी आवाज, right? And there is this beautiful. You said that we said that your work has been translated into so many languages, and there is this one poem that you said that people always relate to it in their own way.
जी.
They have, yeah, yeah, because everybody reads and comes from a different place, and they know
Yes.
yeah, walks of life, and they
जी.
connect with it, and they so I read this poem of yours. I don't know if that is what you felt when you wrote Luna.
Luna. Yes.
Yeah.
Luna.
The moon had never really touched the warmth of the sun, yet she knew that she would be scalded. Her silvery magic would whimper and die. In the face of such dynamic energy, her soft aura would bow in abject humility. As the inferno of love engulfed her dreams, Luna would drape herself on a jet black velvet cushion and fade away with her trail of starlets into the galloping chariot of Aurora. So I felt it was more about the enlightening of a humble human being and becoming one with God. I don't know. So, as a poet, what did you mean by when you
Yes, you
wrote
can
this?
interpret it like that. That's what I said. That's what poetry is all about. You cannot
Or
say
a
ये,
bit
हाँ ये
in
इसका
love with
मतलब ये
the
है,
lover.
तो
Yeah,
उसको
yeah,
उर्दू में ट्रांसलेट किया गया था.
yes, yeah. I want you because it is translated by, a very famous writer
Yes.
whose own, poems and ghazals are sung by,
राहत फतेह
Nana
अली खान. यस
Rahat
यस,
Fateh Ali
अयूब
Khan.
खावर साहब हैं, मेरे भाई हैं.
Yeah, Ayub
और वो
Thaवर.
अयूब खावर साहब
Hmm.
प्रोड्यूसर हैं टीवी शोज के, और बहुत मकबूल नाम है उनका. सो उन्होंने मेरे पे बहुत करम किया कि उन्होंने उसको अच्छा समझा इतना कि उसको ट्रांसलेट करके इट इज पब्लिश्ड इन लॉट ऑफ उर्दू मैगजीन्स एंड जर्नल्स. तो मैं सुना देती हूँ आपको.
Yeah.
पता नहीं मैं सही पढ़ पाऊंगी कि नहीं. तो लूना इन उर्दू इज, चांद ने सूरज को कभी नहीं छुआ, चांद ने सूरज को कभी नहीं छुआ, मगर वो जानता है उसकी चांदनी के जादू में ऐसी कशिश है कि जमीन के दूसरी तरफ धलकता हुआ सूरज अपनी किरणों का लम्स उसके मसामून में पिरोते हुए खुद बेनूर हो जाता है. उसकी किरणों का लम्स चांद की बेनूरी में मोहब्बत का ज्वार भाटा जगा देता है. और सूरज स्याह अंधेरे के मखमली रथ पे सवार सितारों की गुजरगाह पे अपनी बेनिशान निशानियां छोड़कर मासूम हो जाता है एक दूसरे दिन की पेशानी सजाने के लिए एक दूसरे
Beautiful. It's really amazing. I think it's very difficult to do justice to somebody's writing and especially translating into a different language. And I often feel that, it's gets cheated because they don't bring in the real essence. But this one
Yes,
is really
I
beautiful.
agree. I love the fact that my friends who translate me in European language do it with so much elan, Spanish and Albanian. It's wonderful, really, how people
Yeah,
do it in their
because
own
it's the
language.
tarjuma in which the essence of the poem is retained so beautifully, and the poem itself is so
जी,
wonderful. So thank you so much, Lily ji. And this was a new series, like I said, a magic box series on the Vibrant Forum that we had started. The
okay.
intent was to, just magically bring in somebody from across the continents, like we have you today from the US, and have a wonderful conversation with you. So I wish we could have continued, but because of paucity of time, we have to sign up and come to an end. Only to meet again soon, maybe in a new series, a new session, again with you. And that would be my personal delight. Thank you so much, Lily ji. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us and for being part of this session. Thank you. Bye bye. See you soon.
Thank you for having me, Vibrant Forum. Thank you, viewers, for being patient enough to listen us out. God bless and Rab Rakha. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.